Well,
we are in a country that supports Saudi Arabia.
Yes, that's true. Right.
So suddenly we have a problem with, you know, superpowers supporting non-democratic people?
Yes, I mean, yes, I do. You know, they're in Africa. They're lending money to countries to build ports and different infrastructure.
To build what?
Port, harbors.
And what's wrong with that?
And, well, because...
Countries that need ports get ports.
But they're making people dependent on... I mean, I know, it's the same thing that we've done, which is horrible around the world.
They are far more humanistic than the United States ever was.
You know, Africans, we should be glad that we are having an opportunity to trade with the Chinese compared to trading with the West. The West does not take us equal. The West has exploited Africa really, really bad. And right now, we only trade with people whom we find mutual benefits. So before I continue a lot, I want us to watch this video, and by the end of the video I'll be going and I'll be sharing my critical analysis with you at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's jump in.
I've been very concerned lately about China. They are now all over Africa, you know, buying things and investing over there and getting those countries dependent on them and supporting, you know, non-democratic people, and I'm just
like
wondering,
whom?
Really? Okay.
Absolutely.
Great. So
let me give you an example. Of course, they are peddling for influence.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they are non-interventionist, absolutely non-interventionist in a way that Europeans, the West, has never managed to fathom. When it comes to the influence of China outside its borders, I have to say, firstly, it's quite remarkable that they don't seem to have any military ambitions. Secondly, Africa. I'll give you an example, a specific example. Ethiopia. 2004, because I happened to be there, and I have some first-hand experience of it. They went into Ethiopia. I'll tell you why they went into Ethiopia, because they suspected there was oil. Because China is a major industrial power, but it lacks primary resources. Now, instead of going into Africa with troops, colonially, destroying the country, killing people like the West has done for the last 100 years, what they did was they went to Addis Ababa and they said to the government, we would like, we can see you have problems with your infrastructure, we would like to build some new airports, upgrade your railway system, create a telephone system, and rebuild your roads. And we'll do this all for free. No strings attached. We don't want anything from you. And they did. Why did they do it? Because this is soft power. Because because they knew that if oil is discovered, and it was discovered later, then, of course, the Ethiopian government will be much more open to Chinese oil companies coming there. They have never combined their investment with imperialistic. Can you imagine if that was a German company or an American company? That's why I'm saying I don't think you should worry.
Okay, I won't.
So, I want us to talk about the Chinese interest in Africa, or rather, we can call it the Chinese invasion of Africa. Well, it's not really an invasion of Africa, because the Chinese, just like the people from the West, people from Europe, from USA, and the people from other parts of Europe, came to Africa wanting to conquer Africa. But they came with a different format. A format that is different with the format of the Chinese. You see, when the Europeans were coming to Africa, they perceived us as weak. They perceived us as not equal people. You see, they thought we were subhumans. We were not fully humans. They thought that they were the full humans. That is what they had in their minds, at least. You know, the missionary came, first it was the explorer who came to Africa. The second one was the missionary. The missionary came with the Bible, you know. After the missionary came the white man, you know. So in between the missionary and the white man, there was a group of people who traded the Bible for African land. They gave the African the Bible, and they took away the land from Africans. and these took a very, very long time. So for instance, I said that first people to move to Africa were the explorers. The Portuguese controlled or ruled the East African coast. They ruled the East African coast for approximately 200 years. Yes, the Portuguese ruled Mombasa, Pemba, Zanzibar, other coasts. I think it was also Lamu, a place in at the coast of Kenya. They ruled for 200 years. So they ruled along that stretch from Kenya to Tanzania, all the way to the stretch in Mozambique. That was all controlled by the Portuguese. The Portuguese exploration was led by a very short man, a short and charismatic man who was called Vasco da Gama. You know, he was trying to find a sea route because the sea route in northern Africa was blocked, so they went all around the continent finding their way to Goa in India. So they decided to settle in East Africa and ruled it for 200 years. That's gone. After that came the missionary. So the missionary man came preaching the Bible. We had authentic missionary people who are genuine, people who are not really fake. But other people came afterwards, you know. We had missionary people like Johann Kraft. We have people like Dr. David Livingstone. You know, some schools even here in Kenya have their names encrypted on them. These people built missionary schools, they built missionary hospitals, they built missionary churches, and that's a wonderful thing when what they did to Africa. After that, in the 1800s, came another group of people, the conquerors. Now the conquerors are the people who came to conquer Africa and rule it. The white people, you know, the Germans, the British, the French, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, yeah, mostly these ones. Also we had the Afrikaners, people from Netherlands. Now they came, they ruled, and they conquered, you know. They almost fought themselves and shed blood, shedding their own blood in the African soil. And it was not a good image to them, shedding their own blood in an African soil. They thought that we would perceive them as people who would die as well. Remember, there was a person in, there was an African leader, a very charismatic African leader. I really admire and I salute to him for his bravery. His name was Kinje Kitile Ngwale. You know, he was from Tanzania. Kinje Kitile Ngwale really fought against the white people, the Germans, you know. Africans always thought that white people are invincible, that they can't die. But Kinje Kitile Ngwale was somebody who was so interesting. He came forward and told Africans that I want you to parade yourself, I want to wash you with magic water and magic powder. So there is a river in Tanzania called River Rufiji. So they were dipped into this river. They were told that if you dip yourself in this river, you're going to become bulletproof or maybe bullet resistant. So the Africans, being told this by their leader, they went and fought the Germans. It was so unfortunate that the water was not really bulletproof, but the spirit of Pan-Africanism is what was bulletproof. Africans fought against these people. Kinje Kitile Ngwale knew he was lying to his people, but he didn't want to let them down. He wanted them to fight for their land. Eventually, the Germans left Tanzania when they lost the Second World War and the British came in. So earlier last year, the president of Germany came back to Tanzania to apologize for repatriation. Yeah, that's a long history about European invasion of Africa, the Berlin Conference and all that. So remember, because they didn't want to shed blood on the African continent, they went back to Germany. They were called by the German Chancellor Otto von Bismarck. Otto von Bismarck made some amendments. I think the Berlin Conference took place at around 1885, 1886. It was around 2 years, so they made some agreements. You see, these people thought they were superior than us. Now today, we don't have, today there's something which is happening. There we are told history keeps on repeating itself. But this history is different from the one we are used to. Today we are having another invader of markets, not invader of lands, but invader of markets. But they are slowly getting into our lands. Remember how the white man came. He came as an explorer, he came as a missionary, and then he became the conqueror. Remember what happened. So I'm speaking about the Chinese. The Chinese are really moving and making strides into the African lands. They're offering equal trade opportunities. They're constructing every road. Almost every major road in Africa is built by the Chinese. Yes, trust me on this. And they're really good at what they do. Even there's a highway. Besides me, where I live, there's a very big highway called Thika Road. This was built by the Chinese. There's another highway called Outer Ring Road. It was built by the Chinese. There's another highway called Nairobi Expressway. It was built by the Chinese. The Chinese have really built a lot of things. They've built schools, churches, hospitals here in Kenya. I can speak for Kenya because Kenya is part of Africa, right? So they have really done nice things. The one thing we admire the Chinese for, at least for now, is that they take us as equal partners. It's not like the people of the West who think that we are subhumans and they are the full humans. No, that's not how it should happen. We should treat each other equally. You see, there's nobody who is really bigger than another in business. Business is about profit. If you want to think something is big, then think of profit as big, but not humans. You know, it's a transaction. My value has to meet your value. My value of product has to meet your value of money. Not that I'm begging you to sell me or I'm begging you to buy me. It shouldn't be that way. But the Chinese are really making strides. They are really making Africans feel like trade partners. We don't need to feel like trade partners or what. No. They are coming here because they know they can gain from here. And we are offering them because we know we can gain from them also. And this is the principles of trade, right? Today the Chinese have really reached many parts of Africa. And I love what they are doing. They are really doing a nice work towards Africans. And that was all that was the main importance, and that was the major theme that we can gather from this video. Africans, we should be glad to have people who are taking us as equal partners. This is the people we should trade with. We should not trade with somebody who thinks that they are higher than us. People think we can't do without them. No. Africa has always been doing good without them. Yeah. So thank you for watching the video, and kindly see you in the next video where we'll have a critical analysis on other videos as well. So support me on Patreon and subscribe to the channel. Also, that's all. Share the video and to spread the awareness. Thank you, and see you in the next one.